If you're speeding with poor life choices, congratulations. You've just scheduled a meeting with Trooper Collier Wright. On September 6, 2025, Trooper Wright attempted to conduct a traffic stop on a vehicle observed driving at night without headlights. The driver initially pulled into a gas station, slowly circling around the fuel pumps before suddenly accelerating to flee the scene. At that moment, Trooper Wright activated his siren and radioed dispatch, advising that he was now in pursuit.
Yeah, direct G23.
What's this 20?
Increment extended.
GBI.
Approximately 20 seconds into the pursuit, the driver's reckless behavior demonstrated a complete disregard for the safety of others and surrounding property. In response, Trooper Wright executed a pit maneuver in an attempt to end the pursuit. However, the vehicle remained operable, and the driver continued fleeing southbound.
Head was initiated. It's going to be in pursuit at Ingram, southbound.
We took a left right in the project.
It's going to take a left in the project.
Trooper Wright then executed a second pit maneuver, causing the fleeing vehicle to spin sideways in the roadway and become temporarily pinned by the patrol unit. The driver attempted to reverse, spinning the tires and creating smoke, repeatedly trying to escape for approximately 40 seconds before finally breaking free. The pursuit then continued back toward Goodwin Boulevard.
To your right.
G23 turning to the right.
Shortly after, Trooper Wright executed a third pit maneuver on the fleeing vehicle. Despite this, the driver quickly regained control and continued fleeing, now heading toward Ingram Boulevard.
They're still in pursuit, headed back towards Ingram.
We're over here in these apartments now.
At the apartments now.
After a fourth pit maneuver, the fleeing vehicle finally became disabled. West Memphis officers quickly arrived on scene to assist. The driver refused to comply with commands, keeping the vehicle locked and windows rolled up. Trooper Wright then used his baton to break a window and safely extract the driver. The suspect, identified as Jimmy Lee Kegler, was arrested without further incident. It was immediately apparent that Kegler was intoxicated. He was transported to Crittenden County Jail and charged with fleeing and eluding, reckless driving, driving while intoxicated, resisting arrest, operating without liability insurance, criminal mischief, and driving on a suspended license. Notably, this marked Kegler's third offense for driving while intoxicated. On June 22, 2024, Trooper Wright was alerted that West Memphis officers were in pursuit of a gray Dodge Caravan traveling eastbound on Interstate 40. Wright quickly caught up to the fleeing vehicle and assumed the role of primary unit as the pursuit escalated to speeds of 100 miles per hour. Moments later, when traffic cleared, Trooper Wright executed a successful pit maneuver on the fleeing vehicle. The Dodge Caravan spun out into the center lane and began moving backward before striking the concrete median, causing the driver to be ejected from the vehicle through the driver's side door. The suspect then fled on foot northbound. Additional West Memphis officers, including a canine unit, arrived on scene and pursued the suspect. The driver, later identified as Theon Loveberry, was located and apprehended in a nearby tree line north of the crash site. EMS responded to treat the suspect for injuries sustained after being thrown onto the roadway at over 70 miles per hour, and he was subsequently transported to Regional 1 Hospital for further medical care. On September 2, 2024, Trooper Wright observed a vehicle traveling at a high rate of speed on eastbound Interstate 40. He caught up to the car and activated his emergency lights to initiate a traffic stop, causing the vehicle to slow to 65 miles per hour. The driver then abruptly re-accelerated, prompting a pursuit. Once the suspect's speed exceeded 100 miles per hour, and he showed a blatant disregard for the safety of other motorists, Trooper Wright executed a pit maneuver, successfully disabling the vehicle. As the vehicle came to a stop, Wright observed two Hispanic males fleeing south on foot. The second individual to exit the vehicle was notably uncoordinated, falling 2 to 3 times before reaching the tree line. This individual was later identified as the driver. After approximately 2 hours of searching and tracking, officers located the suspect, identified as Christian Joel Lopez. Despite a language barrier, Lopez ultimately complied with arrest procedures. Using Google Translate, he communicated that he had a broken collarbone. He received treatment at Crittenden Baptist Hospital, and once cleared, was transported to Crittenden County Jail. Lopez was charged with fleeing and eluding, reckless driving, operating without a driver's license, driving while intoxicated, and refusal to submit to a chemical test. On September 11, 2025, Trooper Wright was patrolling the interstate when he observed a vehicle unlawfully displaying blue lights. He attempted to initiate a traffic stop, but the driver refused to yield, prompting a pursuit.
City 1024.
City 23.
MLK in Southland, Boy Edward, 88 Tom.
4 Citizen.
1037. Grand Timbers, 40 eastbound.
40 eastbound.
We're just doing circles.
1041 circle.
Shortly thereafter, Trooper Wright executed a pit maneuver, successfully stopping the vehicle and ending the pursuit. The driver, identified as Cortez Morsanto Sanders, complied with Trooper's commands and was taken into custody without further incident. He was charged with fleeing and eluding, driving while intoxicated, unlawful use of blue lights, driving on a suspended license, criminal mischief, and a failure to appear warrant. On December 11, 2024, Trooper Collier Wright was notified that West Memphis officers had attempted to stop a vehicle, but the driver had fled. The vehicle was identified as a red Dodge Caravan. Wright located the vehicle on Interstate 40 near the 280-mile marker and assumed the role of primary unit in the pursuit.
Secondary, primary, secondary.
Traffic.
Coming up to
Once traffic cleared, Trooper Wright swiftly executed a pit maneuver, removing the vehicle from the roadway and neutralizing the threat to other motorists. The maneuver disabled the Dodge Caravan, and the driver immediately fled on foot. Sergeant Roberts, serving as the secondary unit, observed a black male running southbound. The suspect was not located following the pursuit. A search of the van revealed a vehicle rental agreement bearing the name Devontae Willis, along with his driver's license number. Officers also discovered a pistol on the passenger seat, approximately 20 grams of marijuana in the center console, and a scale with baggies. Warrants are being prepared to charge Willis with fleeing and eluding, reckless driving, possession with intent to distribute, possession of a firearm, and operating without liability insurance. On January 26, 2025, West Memphis officers were pursuing a speeding and reckless Chevrolet when Trooper Wright responded and quickly assumed the role of primary unit in the chase.
He's bound on 40, coming up 282.
TBI.
Shortly after, Trooper Wright executed a pit maneuver at speeds approaching 125 miles per hour, causing the Chevrolet to spin out and collide with the barrier, rendering it disabled. The driver exited the vehicle, jumped over the concrete barrier, and attempted to flee on foot, but was quickly apprehended by responding officers without further incident. EMS arrived on scene to assess any injuries sustained during the crash. The driver, identified as Darwan Head, was transported to the county jail and charged with fleeing and eluding, reckless driving, possession of a firearm, driving on a suspended license, criminal mischief, and having an open container of alcohol in the vehicle. On January 17, 2025, Trooper Wright was patrolling Interstate 40 when he observed a vehicle exceeding the posted speed limit. He activated his emergency lights and siren to initiate a traffic stop, but the vehicle accelerated instead. Trooper Wright immediately notified Troop D Communications that he was in pursuit. The vehicle accelerated to speeds exceeding 135 miles per hour, swerving recklessly through traffic with blatant disregard for the safety of other motorists. Trooper Wright executed a PIT maneuver to remove the vehicle from the travel lanes and neutralize the threat to civilian lives. The maneuver caused the vehicle to collide with the guardrail on the south edge of the roadway, fully disabling it. Both occupants remained compliant, keeping their hands visible, and were taken into custody without further incident. A subsequent search of the vehicle revealed 2 baggies of marijuana, totaling 11 grams, one located on the passenger side floorboard and the other on the driver's side. Additionally, a half-full 750 milliliter bottle of Hennessy was found inside. The passenger, identified as Kaisha Johnson, was charged with possession of a controlled substance and having an open container of alcohol in a vehicle. The driver, identified as Krishun White, was charged with driving on a suspended license, open container of alcohol, fleeing and eluding, reckless driving, using fictitious tags, criminal mischief, and driving while intoxicated. On January 21, 2025, Troop D Dispatch received a call from detectives with the Tennessee Police Department, advising they were tracking a stolen Nissan Maxima traveling through the area. Trooper Wright immediately responded and quickly caught up to the suspect vehicle.
TBI.
The vehicle quickly accelerated to speeds reaching 100 miles per hour, prompting Trooper Wright to execute a precision pit maneuver. The impact caused the suspect's vehicle to spin out of control and crash into a ditch along the right shoulder of the roadway. The driver, identified as Anthony Powers, immediately complied with troopers and was taken into custody without further incident. Crittenden EMS responded to assess the driver's condition, and after receiving medical clearance from the hospital, Powers was transported to the county jail. He now faces multiple charges, including fleeing, reckless driving, criminal mischief, fictitious tags, and theft by receiving. Thank you all for watching this video. Make sure to comment which clip you liked the most. Also, don't forget to subscribe and like this video.